We continue to build something really awesome here on the Ohio State Football Report. When we arrive for our next watch party, the Buckeyes and the Washington Huskies, my goal is to be at 15,000 subscribers. We've added just over 4,000 since I've joined the channel. I'd like to keep that going, be at 15 for our next watch party. You can see our number there, what we need to get there. I know we can do it. We got time to do it. But if you're watching right now and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, in the bye week, we already covered a lot. We've gone through our winners and losers, some good news and bad news the Buckeyes are dealing with, a lot of strategy within the team. Time to get a recruiting update. Last time we talked recruiting, it was all good. Chris Henry Jr. was going off for the Buckeyes. We'll check in on him during this video. Also some other names for Ohio State. But we begin with the big picture for the Buckeyes as far as recruiting goes, how they look nationally right now. Check in with 247sports.com. Not much movement for Ohio State, still at 9th in the country, 3rd in the Big Ten. You can see there the big thing for USC, they're just loaded up on commits right now. They've got the most commits. I picture them losing a lot of those guys by the time we get to next season, maybe in the spring, in between. Georgia's always done well recruiting. Notre Dame's on the up and up. Alabama, I predict they'll lose a lot of those names, specifically to Ohio State, as they have the past few years. A&M will fall out of it. I think this will get shaken up. However, the Buckeyes are where they are, right? You have to understand and deal with the point where you're at. Different thing happening for the Buckeyes here, and I know there's been concern about it. I'm interested to see how you guys feel about the 2026 recruiting class as it stands at 9th in the country. Scale it for me, 1 to 10. A couple of weeks ago, I feel like a lot of people were at a 2 or a 3 watching the Buckeyes lose some 5 stars, watching them be at 9. There was concern there. Scale it for me, 1 to 10, how you feel right now about the 2026 recruiting class. Couple of notes on that recruiting class to consider. This is Ryan Day's lowest ranked class. He is always, since he took over as head coach in 2019, he has always been in the top 5. No longer. As you just saw, we're sitting at number 9 in the country right now. I think Michigan's probably a commit or 2 away also from passing the Buckeyes, so that would put them at 10. Also, Buckeyes are a commit or 2 away from moving up, so worth noting there. 2 5-star recruits at this point in time for Ohio State. We'll run those down in just a second, and I do want to note that Ohio pipeline is alive and well for the Buckeyes right now. We'll roll through all those names too, so just some things to consider there. If you need to rescale, go ahead and do that. But a look at the top 5 recruits for Ohio State right now. Chris Henry Jr. and Blaine Bradford. Those are your 5 stars at receiver and safety, which you kind of like for Ohio State. Keep the wide receiver thing going, and then that safety position, they've used that over the past few years and this year specifically as a strength on defense, so you like to see 5 stars there. Kayden Dixon-Wyatt and Chris Henry Jr., we will get more specific with those two. But nice to have that pair, right? Teammates out in California. They're looking to become Buckeyes right now. And a hometown boy, Sam Greer at Hoban. I got to watch him in high school. He is a monster at 6'8" on the O-line. Excited to see him at Ohio State. And Sincere Johnson. Those are the top 5 for Ohio State right now. Sincere Johnson kind of next up in that linebacker class. James Laurinaitis really doing good things there. We'll move on to our 6 through 10 here in just a second. Do want to let you guys know this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks, simple to play, more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. That's because Prize Picks, do want to let you guys know, also offers injury reboots. So if one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. One of the projections we have set up for you here, Tua Tagovailoa, 235.5 pass yards, going less on that one. Josh Jacobs getting in the end zone, whether it be rushing or receiving, going more than half. And Patrick Mahomes, the max discount, you're reading that right, half a passing yard, going more. Max discount. Got to pay attention to those. What you want to do now, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, there's the gruesome twosome, Kayden Dixon-Wyatt and Chris Henry Jr. You've heard more about Chris Henry Jr. and that national game they had on ESPN. He showed up and showed out in that one. You can see his teammate achieving just as much, the 5- and 4-star receivers. Very excited to get to Ohio State. Wanted to present these names to you. We need to keep an eye on these guys for flips also. I think Henry's locked in for the Buckeyes. I worry about Kayden Dixon-Wyatt. I think Oregon's pushing for him. I think Texas is pushing for him. The problem with that, right now for me, I watch Ohio State. You don't have many young receivers out there playing outside of Jeremiah Smith, obviously, and we know he's one of a kind. And then you look at a guy like Brandon Inniss, who's waited years for his opportunity, and things are starting a little slow for him. I do worry about a guy like Kayden Dixon-Wyatt looking at Ohio State and kind of saying, I don't know if I can get what I need out of that offense. Yes, it's wide receiver U right now. Maybe I'll get it after 3 years, but at a place like Oregon or Texas, maybe I play sooner. I don't know. But for right now, I love the idea of wide receiver U continuing at Ohio State. Two talented teammates are coming to Columbus together to continue a really strong mix of wide receivers the Buckeyes have had the past few years. Debate about LSU, debate about some other schools. I think Ohio State is putting out the best wide receivers right now. If you agree, give this video a thumbs up. The rest of Ohio State's top 10 recruits getting a little bit in on the O-line here. More wide receivers with Jaden Rickett. And some other names to finish things out. Maxwell Riley, big for the O-line right now. You got to keep that consistent. You need a lot of offense linemen. We've seen that the past few years. Secondaries covered. And again, James Laurinaitis getting Simeon Caldwell to join the Buckeyes. A very big deal there. Now, the interesting name here is Khary Wilder, the 4-star defensive lineman. We're getting different views here. We go big on 24/7. The composites there, good information, reliable information. Rivals is kind of the other recruiting rankings or whatnot for that situation. There's a huge difference for the defensive lineman Khary Wilder. Rivals put out their Rivals 300 the other day, top recruits, and Wilder just splashed on that list. I thought it was worth noting, just in case you want to get a look at him here. For Rivals, he's a 5-star. He's number 2 in California. He's the number 1 defensive lineman in the class. He's 14th nationally in the class of 2026. 24/7 Sports, 133 nationally, 16th defensive line, 15th in California, and only a 4-star. So there's a discrepancy here for sure, and it's definitely something we want to keep our eye on. Just, hey, maybe Khary Wilder is being graded differently, and there could be more upside than we've considered. So we'll definitely have our eye on Khary Wilder. Want to give a shout out to the Ohio-based recruits. I know that's a big deal for a lot of Ohio State fans, the fact that we're recruiting local. I think with Jim Tressel, that was a very, very big deal. That was a foundation of Ohio State football, was recruiting in Ohio. I don't think Urban Meyer avoided it. I just think Urban Meyer looked nationally, and if Ohio State and Ohio-bound players stuck out, he would bring them to Columbus. However, it wasn't his main priority. You can see here, number 1, Glenville's back, baby. A lot of Glenville names. Jameer Perez, Sincere Johnson there. We've also got, Arvell Reese right now, Bryce West right now at Ohio State from Glenville. Again, I've seen Sam Greer. If you know Ohio high school football, Hoban is always up there competing well. And in total, once again, 7 Ohio-based recruits right now in the class of 2026. What's your opinion on this? Do you think the Buckeyes should focus on Ohio recruiting? I know it kind of helps to get those guys just to come down to Columbus, be a part of it. They've already been raised in that tradition. Or did you like that Urban Meyer was going out to St. Louis and getting Ezekiel Elliott, going down to Florida and getting the Bosa brothers? Type Y for yes if you want to stick with Ohio, or type N for no if you prefer that national reach. More on recruiting. Where I think the Buckeyes are excelling right now, I think it is people that are making the difference from them, especially in the time of NIL money and recruits wanting money and recruits getting gigantic experiences at multiple different schools. I think it's the people on the staff that make the difference for Ohio State right now. And you may say, hey, it's Ohio State. They can look at those national championship trophies. They can look at multiple Heisman trophies, look at the different jersey. I mean, they have a lot to look at, no doubt about it. But I think when you get on campus, meeting the people that you meet, getting to talk to the people that you get to talk to, I think that's what makes the difference for the Buckeyes right now. And it begins with Ryan Day. Last year, especially with the introduction of NIL, Ryan Day decided to step into a CEO role along with head coach. That meant giving up play calling. That meant changing some things up during recruiting, spending more time actually meeting and not as focused on game planning and game day stuff. I think that was big for Ryan Day, and I think he's really, really excelled at it. I think it's been a great role for him. He's filled it out well, and I think so far it's worked for the Buckeyes. I know there's been NIL concerns, but I trust Ryan Day to kind of weed through that, figure that out, and do what's best for the program. Again, I think spending money on transfers more than an 18-year-old so far has worked well for the Buckeyes. Next, Brian Hartline is on a generational run right now receiver-wise. The names that are going in the first round and looking really good in the NFL that came out of Ohio State are stacking up. Week by week, you see Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, you name it. Name after name after name look really, really good. Emeka Buka right now looks great for the Buckeyes. Not only is Hartline getting them to Columbus, he's preaching their ability to play as a group, as a unit. Emeka Buka did not get upset with Jeremiah Smith having that star role last year. He just went first round and is on pace to be Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, which is why I believe, a Kayden Dixon-Wyatt, a Chris Henry Jr. can meet Brian Hartline, understand what he's preaching and delivering during the recruiting process, get on campus and make the most of it. The third name that has entered the chat for Ohio State recruiting is James Laurinaitis. Was at Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman, now with the Buckeyes. I think he's the ultimate Buckeye because of his ability to be a historian. He was talking preseason about filling the guys in on different names from the 40s, 50s, 60s. He bleeds scarlet and gray. He loves not just the present day, not just the group he was a part of, but the entire history of Ohio State. I'm not saying Brian Hartline doesn't, or Ryan Day doesn't, or Jim Tressel didn't. I just think it's special to have a guy spending time at Glenville High School, making sure he's got an eye on every single linebacker in the state of Ohio, making sure they understand what it means to be a Buckeye and how special it can be. And that's what will help the group in 2026 become a special group for Ohio State.